Hey you guys, this is just going to be a short Facebook Live video. I'm going to speak about something the Lord has on my heart to mention. Got the baby here, so we're doing this together. This is her favorite little swing. I hope that it lasts for a while because I don't know what she'll do when it's gone. She's discovered her voice. Okay, so I just want to talk a minute about how ancestral curses and church hurt can sometimes go together. Hello, Kimberly, Helena, Melody, Benai. You know, I've had church hurt. I know many of you guys have been hurt at church. You guys, I'm sure you've heard that the church is a hospital for hurting people. So, you know, a lot of people that are coming to God, you know, if you read the parables, he went out and, you know, tried to invite all, you know, all the people who had it all together and they wouldn't come. So he said, you know, go out and invite this person and that person and, you know, the people who really got problems and aren't going to have a reason not to come. So, that's good, Kimberly. That's good. You know, a lot of times when you've come into church, and I think this is actually going to be a specific prophetic word from somebody who has dealt with church hurt and hasn't fully gotten over it, hasn't fully recovered from it. You know, God is really blowing the walls off of church in this day and age through, you know, the internet and, you know, home churches. There's a lot of small groups. And so when I say the church, I'm actually kind of talking about the organized church here. You know, having been in organized fellowship and been hurt there, people that have been through that. Now, I say in correlation with ancestral curses because I feel like the Lord's given me some revelation of what the enemy is trying to do. He's trying to keep people separated out from the body, because if he can do that, you know, the sheep, the one the wolf goes after is the one that's not in the fold with the other sheep, you know. That's cool, Cindy. God bless you. So, you know, all the sheep that are gathered together, the wolf's going to look for the one that's wandering off by itself. And so the enemy really uses church hurt to get people to withdraw from the body. You know, there sometimes is a season of isolation. There may be a season between churches or something that the Lord, you know, is walking you through where you are not, you know, tightly knit to a specific body of believers. And that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about people that are not in church, that are not gathering. The Bible says, don't forsake the gathering of yourselves together. And gathering together as believers is super important. There's a certain amount of growth that cannot happen on your own, especially if you have a lot of non-believers around you. You can maybe, that's the baby. Hey, honey. Hi there, princess. She's a little princess. You know, if you don't have other believers around you, you can think that you are more healed than you are and that you're at a better place. You don't have other people around you that know you, that are also believers, then you're not going to have people holding you accountable and speaking into your life and reflecting back as you have these conversations. You know, it is good to have non-believer friends, you know, people in your life that are not believers that you're being a light to. But I think that it's really important that that's not your crew. The non-believers should not be your crew. You should not be yoked together with non-believers. The Bible says, what does light have to do with darkness? And so if you have had church hurt, one of the things that, you know, with non-believers, it's easier not to have an expectation that they're going to love you a certain way. So there's less disappointment involved when you're involved with non-believing people. When, you know, you're in church, you have an expectation that people are going to love. And they're going to love like the Lord loves. But if you've been hurt, I encourage you. There are a few people that have been hurt in church and left out of church, and you're at a different place now. So I want to encourage you to try again, to go again, now that you're in this different place, and how this relates. She's being a little noisy. You want a passy? Don't want a passy? Here, baby. There you go. She's like, where is my music? It has, this little thing has music. Daddy's in there working on some computer stuff. So he's working from home till we can move. Okay, let me bring in the ancestral curses. Now, there are several ancestral curses that those demonic forces that have been assigned to your life through your ancestors are going to try to use church hurt to get you away from the body. Because, you know, Satan has a plan. He has a battle plan, and he knows where our weak spots are. And so he works overtime, making a plan to try to do what he can to take us down. And he knows that if we're away from the body, if we don't have other believers around us, we're much more likely to backslide and to, falter in our walk with the Lord and in our faith walk if we don't have believing friends. So here's some of the spirits and some of the curses that operate. A religious spirit. You know, you hear a lot about a religious spirit, and usually people are talking about it like it's the other people that have their religious spirit, but I know I've struggled with that because I was raised in church, and, and also if you are prophetic, chances are you really love holiness and you love righteousness and you want to see people walking in holiness and righteousness, and it really rubs you wrong when believers aren't. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful not to have a religious attitude about it. It's really important that you walk in love towards people. And if you were raised in a religious household where your parents struggle with this, where they had a judgmental, critical attitude towards people, then it's going to be something that you have to contend with. And so you might get church hurt. There's different ways of getting it. I know for me, some of my church hurt came from the lack of desire from the other people at church to actually live a certain way that I thought, there should be more passion for living a certain way. And so I got incensed, and that's how I've been hurt in church. I felt like I got pushed aside because I made people uncomfortable because I'm trying to live a holy life. And so I had to war with the spirit of religion, and in my church experience. Okay, now other people have had church hurt where you've been hurt by a religious spirit. You've been hurt by somebody who has that religious spirit. And so, whatever it is, you got to understand, even the people that are struggling with the religious spirit are struggling with hurt. They're struggling with woundedness. They're struggling with their own issues. So everybody's in church, at different levels of glory. And the key is, and this is the key to not allowing the hurt that other people cause you in church to push you away from the body. And this is the key. We have to come to a place that we are not in church for what we can get. Because it's just like any relationship. You can look at the other person and see how they could change to make the relationship better. Or you can say, how can I change to make this relationship better? How can this relationship make me better? Now, there are times you're going to be in a group of people, and I have left a church. The last church that I left, I really stuck in there and really struggled because I had a hard time respecting the pastor because I felt that there was, just a lackadaisical attitude towards sin. And so I struggled in that and struggled in that and struggled in that. And I just felt that it wasn't a good fit for me, it wasn't a good fit for me at all. So even though I stayed there for a season and I warred in that and I fought in that and I learned some things and I was humbled and I recognized that I did have some of a religious spirit attitude in that. And I think that the Lord healed me more of that in that situation. And I think that's why he had me in that particular church, why he did, because it rubbed me so wrong, some of the stuff that I saw going on. And I interceded a lot. This is how I got healing. I interceded a lot. And God just kept that person, you know, the pastor and his family on my heart, and I prayed for them. But over time, you know, I didn't want to leave out of offense. You know, I didn't want to leave for the wrong reasons. So I really pressed in with the Lord, dealt with my religious spirit, you know, and when it was time for me to move on from that. You know, so not every church was a good fit for each person, you know. I mean, not like we should just shop around for churches where everything, you know, fits us perfectly. But, you know, if you are somebody who doesn't drink alcohol and you know, don't want to raise your children to drink alcohol, and you go to a church where everybody drinks alcohol and everybody's completely fine with it, that might not be the church for you. You know, it just might not. You know, that is one of those issues that it could be a controversial issue. But if you know, used to have a problem with alcohol and you don't drink and you don't want to drink, that might not be the church for you. So if there are some kind of foundational things that are really important to you in life, and the whole atmosphere of that particular body, the personality of that body doesn't line up, that might not be the place for you. But I'm just encouraging people to find, whether it is a church or a small group, to get connected. So I talk about the religious thing, getting off into my testimony here. But then there are people who, your parents had false religion, or were involved in New Age stuff, or were involved in witchcraft, or were involved in, you know, occult things, or just a different religion, you know, like Muslim or something like that, where there's that's a curse that would try to come down on you. So that, you know, even if you're under the bloodline of Jesus, those are weak spots kind of in the spirit realm where they're looking for a way in. If you've had demons hanging around your family line for centuries, they don't just run off to find other people. They hang around looking for an entrance, how they can get back in to your family. You know, they look around because they think, this is my territory. You know, they don't like it when you fight out from under that stuff. So if they can get you to feel rejected, or, you know, even if people are rejecting you, but if they can get you to take that personally, and you know, somebody didn't come through for you like you thought they should, because this is more of the church hurt that happens. You know, I just gave you kind of a religious perspective because that's what my church hurt was. But, you know, for a lot of people, it's rejection. You know, they've been hurt and wounded, and they've come to church for support, and people don't include them. You guys, if you were in church and you are a mature believer, and even if you aren't, look for the people. This just burns me. You know, I really think that we as believers should be looking for the people that are the least, you know, don't pray favoritism. Don't go to church and try to get in with the good group, you know, the group where everybody seems popular and knows the pastor. You know, let's not make it like a high school or whatever. Go to church, and you don't want to get rejected. Go find people that clearly are worse off than you, and be good to them and make them feel welcome. Make them feel welcome. It's important so that other people who are more wounded than you won't go through the same thing when they go to church. We need to be in bodies of believers so that we can be to other people what we needed somebody to be to us when we were at a different place. You know, and if you're still in that really wounded and hurt place, still, you know, go look for that person who isn't going to necessarily fit in with the in crowd at church. I'm really big about this. Because I don't, you know, I have been left out of the cliques or whatever at church. And so I know how it feels, but I'm mature enough to, not take it personally. So I'm looking around for the other people who are getting left out. Now, I mean, in more recent years, I haven't really felt like I've been left out of, but, for whatever reason, when you're in church, when you're in small groups, do pray, Lord, give me favor with the right people. You don't need everybody at church to be there for you. You just need one or two people that you can connect with. And then you go there and use your spiritual gift to serve however you can, however you can, wherever you need to use your spiritual gift. And it's okay. Go in with an attitude. It's okay if I just connect with one or two people. You don't have to be friends with everybody, in a deeper relationship. You can be friendly. But I just feel like these demonic forces that God was speaking to me yesterday, that there are people that are out of church and they don't recognize that it is the enemy. It is the enemy that's trying to keep us out of the body. Because as long as we can look at that other person and say they're the problem, instead of saying, how can I get in church and make one less body there indifferent, one less person there prejudiced, one less person there selfish. As long as we can kind of point our finger and say they're the problem with the church, then it's keeping us from saying, where can we come up higher? Where can we come up higher and be better church people? And so, Lord, I just pray, God, and if your parents have had some false religion and stuff, be aware of that. Be aware if there is a religious spirit, a critical spirit. Hey, baby. Hi, honey. Hi. She's smiling. Hey, honey. I like your teeth. I like your teeth. And here's the thing. I'm not telling everybody to get what the Lord's leading you to do, because you might not need to be in a big church this season in your life. Maybe it's just a small group that you need to meet with, that you need to go into a home. If you don't have other believers around you, I'm praying in the name of Jesus that God direct you to a place where you can have somebody that you are discussing scripture with, that you are talking about your weaknesses to back and forth, where you're struggling. You need that. You need that. You need that. And if you don't have it in your family especially, you really, really, really need that from other people. And so I'm praying that the Lord give you divine connections with people, divine direction. And really, if the church isn't a good fit and you've stuck it in there and you've been hurt and you can't connect with the people and there's not even two people that you're really connecting with there, go to a different church. Find another church. I'm okay with that. Some people are like acting like you've divorced, your husband or your spouse if you leave a church. And I don't feel that way. I don't think you should church hop. But, if you've been at a church for years, sometimes it's time to move on from that church. You've learned what you needed to learn. You've grown where you've needed to grow. And, God is going to put you somewhere else for another season. And that's okay. But you don't want to leave a church because of offense. You don't want to leave a church in a bad place. Really pray about it and say, God, are you moving me on from this? And if you were hurt in a church by people, take some time to get healing. Don't carry that as a prejudice. Somebody said there's a prejudice in the church. One of the biggest prejudice ever is saying, I got hurt at church, I'm not going back to church. That's prejudice. That's saying all churches are alike. All Christians are alike. And God loves his church. And God loves his people. So that's a prejudice that we don't want to have. And so, Lord, I pray a deliverance from religious spirits, spirits of perfectionism, and then slack spirits. There's another side of the religious spirit. People who expect, who say, I was in a church and I was living with my boyfriend and these people, confronted me about it and, I didn't listen to them and they didn't want to hang out with me anymore. Well, if you get in the Word, you're going to find that the Bible says not to hang out with believers who are living in sexual immorality unrepentantly. So those people aren't being religious, they're being obedient. So there's another side of a religious spirit, and then a spirit that says grace means just, you know, overlooking every sin and never confronting, because that's not what it means. You know, and that's hard if you are in that place, and some people aren't wise about how they handle it. But, you know, there is a side where, you know, love confronts. Love speaks the truth at times. Too hurt, but I gather with a Christian girlfriend, and Saturdays are Bible and prayer time. Yes, you know, and that might, but the thing is, Helena, you need to make sure that you are not missing God's best. Do you want to get out, honey? Because I'm going to get off for you. Because they're my top priority. Hi, dear honey. Hey, sweetie. Are you having fun? Are you having fun? I wish they had those for adults. Oh, Jesus. Heal us from church hurt. If you've come out of church for a season, there's some people that are hearing this, that it's about season to enter back into a body of believers. Let the Lord heal you. You know, you go through a season where you might have been, you know, brought out of that, but you've grown and you have things to offer. You know, part of the reason there is church hurt is we're putting too much expectation on people that we should be putting on the Lord. You see, that's important not to do that. Because when you put too much of an expectation on people and have this wrong mindset that they're never going to let you down, you forget that, you know, there are hurting people and they have their own things that they're dealing with. I pray for each and every person. Lord, speak to our hearts. Where do we need to connect more? Because a lot of the things that God is bringing us into, there's more connections that need to be made with other believers. A lot of the healing that needs to take place with other believers. And these ancestral curses that would try to, there's also a curse of rejection that's going to play out in the church and keep you isolated. If you have a spirit of rejection, a curse of rejection, that's going to come into play. You're going to feel rejected. And if you've got a root of rejection, that needs to be pulled up, because people will reject you. That root just, it's like, I don't know, it just has like reject me across your forehead or something. It repels people if you have a root of rejection. And it's just a spirit of rejection. People tend to shy away from somebody who needs something from them they know they don't have to offer, because it makes them uncomfortable. You know, I know it does make people uncomfortable. You know, and so God, I pray that you would deliver us from a spirit of rejection, a rooted rejection. Help us to look at church, your body, differently. That we are to function, you know, this is one of the ways that I grow the most, is when I see something in somebody else I don't like, I examine myself, because it says take the plank out of your own eye, then you can see clearly to take the speck out of somebody else's eye. So a lot of times, the very thing you can't stand in somebody else could be something that you need to deal with. Not always. But at the very least, it could make you see you need to be more gracious, more compassionate, less judgmental, less critical. So examine how you're feeling, you know, and don't just make decisions based on your feeling. Don't just leave a church because you got hurt. Don't just stay out of church because you got hurt. It's really important. It's really important that we stay connected, you guys. Face-to-face connections, you know, that is great on the getting downloads, information, even anointings from online teaching and training. But in personal relationship with other believers, there is growth that cannot happen any other way. And so I pray these religious spirits, these critical spirits, these witchcraft spirits, these controlling spirits, these curses, family curses of false idolatrous, false gods. We got to, Lord, help us to learn to love your body better, because you do. You love us. We as believers, it says we must do good. Go about doing good, the word says, especially to those of the household of believers, other believers. Jesus, help us to love better. And with the very same thing that we got hurt about, make sure that doesn't keep us from going to church and being that light to somebody else who needs us. It's really easy to say they weren't there, when I needed to move. They weren't there when I was going through this pain. But think back. Were you there for them? In some cases you were. In some cases you were, but in some cases you didn't have them on your mind either. So it's real easy to judge they weren't there for you when you were so caught up in your own problem. You weren't there for them. So we just assume they might look like they have it all together, so they should be there for us. But they might have their own issue that they, were dealing with and couldn't see beyond. And I really, really think oftentimes, we have a specific person who we think are people that are supposed to be there for us a certain way. And God uses those things, hopefully, instead of getting so offended to go to God and say, how are you going to meet this need? Because these are the people that I would expect to meet them. But it's not happening. So connect me somewhere else or meet the need another way and release people from being your need meter. And when you do, I've found in my personal walk with the Lord, if I'm about meeting other people's needs, God takes care of my needs. God takes care of me and my needs without me having to really wrestle and fight with it so much. Thank you, Jesus. We worship you, Lord. You guys, if you are not connected to other believers, I please, this week, this month, the open doors, the new beginnings, require relationship with other believers to really be in full effect. It's a prophetic word here. It's prophetic instruction. Think about, were there some curses operating from my family? You see parents that they said these church people this, these church people that, or they weren't in church at all, and they were out of the body, and that's a curse, and you don't want that to come down on you. So connect with the body every day for unbelievers. Lord God, I pray right now that you align us supernaturally, divine appointments, divine relationships with other believers. Align us, Lord. Show us where to go, where to connect, who you have for us. And help us not to be selfish. We have not because we ask not. So if you're asking just for friends that are Christian just to make your life better, that, you have to be careful. What believers can we be in relationship, Lord, that's going to, whose life can I enrich? Who's going to receive my love? You don't want to just sow into bad soil. So I have love to give, God. I have friendship to give. Who is going to receive me? Who's going to receive me as from the Lord and appreciate my love and friendship? Lead me to them. Lead me to them. And lead me to reciprocal relationships, because we don't want to always just be in relationship with people who only think of themselves either, especially other believers. We have the non-believing friends that we're ministering to do that. So I'm believing that for us in this season. You guys believe it too, and pray into this. Is there any curses that are keeping me out of church, out of a small group gathering, out of building godly relationships with other believers? Lord, don't let me operate in the same curses as my family that, kept them out of the fullness of everything you had. Because you can't operate very well as a finger if you aren't connected to the hand. You just can't. And there's certain spiritual gifts that aren't going to operate. You can take all the online courses you want. If you're not in the church, you can't really practice your spiritual gifts and grow in those. And when I say in the church, whatever that looks like for you, physically around other believers, you know, in whatever season you're in. So God bless you. Share this. I believe other people need to see it. I'll be on here at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. You guys join in prayer with me. Baby sleeps well at night, and that would be helpful. So we're trying to get her sleeping through the night a little better. I mean, she doesn't stay up, but she gets up quite a bit, a couple of times to eat, 2-3 times. Who's your princess? Hi, honey. Hey, cutie pie. Hey, cutie pie. God bless you.